by the seat of our pants. All right. So looking at this first example, first of all, we have to remember, what does that fraction bar mean that I'm doing here? Javon? Division. So guys, this means I'm doing 10 divided by 5. When I do 10 divided by 5, what do I get, Carlos? 10 divided by 5. 2. All right. And Carlos, should that 2 be a positive or a negative? Positive. These are the same sign, so my answer is positive. All right. Let's skip down. What I'm going to do is kind of just go down this row. For number 3, I need to divide this. So what would 20, that's on top, divided by 2, what's that going to give me, Kaylin? 10. And Kaylin, is it a positive or a negative? A positive. These both have a minus sign. So this is going to be positive, and that's my answer. Guys, I'm not requiring a lot of work unless we need to. All right, number 5. Number 5 says 65 divided by 5. Now that's not like a number 1 to 12. I might not know that one. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go over here kind of more to the center, put 5 at the door, 65 in the house. This is just a reminder for how to divide. Some of y'all probably already know this answer. All right? But when I look at this, how many times will 5 go into 6? 1. So I'm going to put a 1 on top. 1 times 5 is 5. When I subtract 6 minus 5, gives me a 1. Bring down the next number. So now I'm looking at 5. How many times will 5 go into 15? 3 times. And 3 times 5 is 15. When I subtract, I get 0. So what was my answer? 13. All right, now that 13, Gabby, will the 13 be a positive or a negative? Positive. Both of these numbers are both positive. My answer is positive. If it's the same sign positive, different signs negative. All right, number 7. So number 7 is kind of a tricky one. I'm looking at 75 divided by 15. All right, this is probably one I might not know in my head. Guys, can 15 go into 75 more than 9 times? No, if I look at 10, that's like 170. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go over to the side, and I'm going to think of numbers like 15. What could I multiply that by that I think is going to get me close to 75? This is another option. If you don't like doing the long division, here's another option. So I'm going to just try multiplying. 15 times, what's a good number to try, Chris? 4. All right. So, Chris, I'm going to tell you why I wouldn't use 4. We're going to do 4. All right. So what's 4 times 5, Chris? 20. So do you see how that number now ends in a 0? Did 75 end in a 0? No. So 4 would be one I probably wouldn't try in the future. But let's go ahead and see if we need to go higher or lower. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus the 2 is? So I got 60. So 4 is close because we're at 60, but we're going to end up having to go higher. What can I try, Alana? 5. So I'm going to do 15 times 5. 5 times 5 is? 25. Do you see why I'd want a number that ends in 5 there? Like 5 times 5. Okay. Put my 2. 5 times 1 is? 5 plus the 2 is? 75. So there's my 75. So what's the number I want to use? 5. Now, is that 5 positive or is that 5 negative, Camilla? Negative. Why? The two signs are different. So I have a positive on top, a negative on bottom. Do y'all see the work that I'm looking for? Okay. I want us to flip it over. We're going to do a couple on the back. So here's number. We're going to look at 21. All right. So we're going to look at 21. So now we're looking at multiplication. Same rule applies here. Tony, when I do 11 times 9, what's that going to give me? 99. Awesome. And is that 99 going to be a positive or a negative? A negative because they have different signs. Excellent job. And that's it. There's not really any work to do. Hopefully we can multiply by 11 pretty easily. On number 23, Chris, what do I get when I multiply 8 times 11? 88. And is it positive or negative? Look at my signs. It's positive because they are the same. So we're going to put positive 88. All right, those are pretty straightforward. If you need to do long multiplication, you can. Let's move down. Let's look at number 31. We're going to look at 31. All right. What do I need to do first here, Hunter? the 6 and the 5. Remember, it's kind of like that game of memory. You can only do 2 numbers at a time, just like you can only flip 2 cards at a time. So I'm going to do those first 2 numbers. 6 times negative 5. What am I going to get for that, Jet? Negative 30, because one's positive, one's negative. So we need to make sure we put negative 30. And now I have negative 30 times 3. 30 times 3, what do I get, Zach? 90, and should it be a positive or a negative? A negative because they're different signs. Okay? Alright, I want to look down at 35, and I'm kind of skipping around a little bit. But 35, do you see how you have 4 numbers? Remember we said we're going to do it like memory. How many have to match? 2 at a time. So let's do the first 2. You'll see how I'm circling those first 2. What's 3 times 3 give me? 3 times 3, Kelsey? 9. And is it positive or negative here? Positive. They're both positive numbers, same sign, so it's a positive 9. All right, guys, I'm going to circle. Do y'all see I have 2 more numbers here? So can those be a match too? All right, so I'm going to circle these 2. So Carlos, when I do 1 times 3, what do I get? 3. And should it be positive or negative? Do I have the same signs? So we're going to make it a negative. Since there's 1 negative there, we're going to make that a negative. Now, how many numbers are there? 2. Do you see how I did 2 together, 2 together? Now I have 2 still left. So, Anahi, when I multiply 9 times 3, what do I get? 27. And she said it was a negative. Why was it a negative, Anahi? Different signs. All right, so you would work out 36 like that. Okay, so guys, you have the rest of the period to work on these. All right, if you do not finish, it is homework, but there are a couple of examples to help you get started and going.